All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope everyone's having themselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Happy Friday. And looks like a very, very, very volatile, right? Overnight market. Tremendous amount of headlines, right? Hit our docket there yesterday. So Israel did a preemptive strike, right, on Iran, and that absolutely just exploded oil prices there, right? So up, I think they're up like 10% at one point. Yeah, so up as much as 13%, sitting at 7.5% here on this session to the upside. Pretty aggressive, right? It's certainly a wild, wild move. The other element, right, that's going to cause an extra amount of potential chaos here today is just starting the futures roll here in earnest. So the contract switches over here on Monday, right? But I would imagine that today, probably the heaviest volume of the roll, right, can coincide that then with, yeah, basically the geopolitical stuff that's going on there in the background. um, I think today will be a very high volume day. Now, the challenge, right, about an event like this syncing up, or this type of volatility syncing up with the futures roll, is it's going to make it very challenging for us to be able to basically trust some of these volume profiles, right? So I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but during the futures roll, as you get more spikes, you kind of get these like big one-off orders that are kind of closing positions, instead of necessarily opening new ones. And so that makes it a little bit more challenging to sustain momentum through some of those big volume moves, and certainly complicates things. When you pair that then today, right, with a big geo event, you've had a tremendous amount of overnight action. You've had, I mean, you're pretty much opening up in the implied middle of those overnight ranges, and you're setting yourself up, right, for what could be a very fast moving, very volatile, very frustrating, potentially type of price action here today. So, really, the thing that we want to focus on here a lot is kind of twofold. One, we want to really be kind of watching the price action, right? So, yes, we're going to be still using outlier volume for our kind of confirmation standard, right? But we're going to want to be making sure that the volume and price action are moving in the correct way. We're seeing kind of steady, consistent, flowy moves, not necessarily huge like rips like instantly, or big drops. Like we want it to be um, like steadily climbing, right, or steadily dropping. We don't want it to be consolidation, consolidation flush, consolidation, consolidation, consolidation flush, right, or the opposite. So that judging that consistency is going to be very important. That's going to be where the work is, I think, a little bit today. The other element, right, is also like not committing too much mental capital to a day like today, and not forcing price action, right, if our things don't sync up. So again, right, we're opening up in the implied middle of a high volume overnight range, and we're uh, setting ourselves up. I was trying to find a different word there, but we're setting ourselves up, right, to complete the futures roll, or to do the vast majority of the roll here today, which is going to make, yeah, just price action a little bit more challenging, I think, from that perspective, right? Obviously, doesn't mean that we can't get any looks, doesn't mean that we can't get any trades, doesn't mean anything along those lines. But there are a lot of things here that are working against us. And if we don't see a very interesting market here today, or one that gives us a very easy edge, I'm not going to waste my energy, right? Basically sitting and watching. I'll let things reset, I'll let things get stable, and then I can catch the move. If this is the start of a bearish reversal, no worries. This will be candle one of many. And I don't have to catch today's move here if that isn't the case. So, to summarize, right, we want to be really focused on the quality of the price action post confirmation. Are we effectively seeing kind of a steady, consistent move higher or steady, consistent move lower? And then we're trying to make sure that we see trending conditions, not just like choppy, indecisive conditions, because choppy, indecisive is going to hide a lot of volume, and that's going to make it really challenging, right, for us to be able to get consistent stories. So let's see how the day shapes up. That's sort of the general kind of like thought process here as we creep up into it. And yeah, let's have ourselves a great, great morning. From an economic calendar perspective, right, we've got consumer sentiment here at 10. Everything else is fine. So let's get after it here, team. Let's start mapping things out and figure out what we want to do and then go from there. So yeah, yes. What's the count here? And let's start mapping things out. Count here, team. What's the count? Anyone got it? Yeah, 1 for 3 here to the upside. Exactly right. So we're being told that we have non-trending conditions, or yesterday was a non-trend day. Obviously, right? We're breaking out from our wedge pattern here to the downside. So we have the opportunity, right, to get trending PA. And we would expect that that would be confirmed by a very strong volume profile here this morning. That would give us a approximate target, right, of like 59.30. We're at 59.90 right now. So I can go like, I imagine it's going to be a big opening range. So I'll go 59.60 towards 5,900. The other thing we might have to be actually worried about. I mean, I'll be surprised if it's a very aggressive open. We'll talk about circuit breaker limits a little bit, but it could be in play for sure. All right. And then to the upside here, we'd be looking for a move back up to 60.40. Fine. But yeah, let's see how the price action settles first this AM, and then we can go from there. Okay. NQ. Similar, not so similar. Right. It's the same thing. 1 for 3 here to the upside. So green candle, lower lows, lower highs, decreasing volume, right? And then breaking down. So we're looking for a sustained breakdown here, and then obviously a move under that 21,400, we'll call it, right, is going to be kind of our target here. And then the low of this is 2,600 or 2,700, we'll call it. So I reckon let's map it out from there. If we're getting a trend line breakdown potentially like this, our targets effectively become the next points of contact on the trend line. And then we're just going to fill in those, we'll call it bust stops, right? 100 points along the way. All right, my brain was struggling to do the numbers there. But yeah, so we're looking right. First point of contact is approximately 2,400. Next point of contact, right, 21.2. And then our final point of contact here, approximately 27. So that's going to be our starting point. All right, CL. So the trend line breakout, certainly a breakout here, right? We're going to be looking for a continuation narrative, right? Or right, potentially I don't think I can go continuation narrative, or sorry, reversal narrative. I think it only has to be setups to the upside. And with the volatility in the range that's already in play here today, I think the probability of me getting a setup, right, on CL to be very, very limited. For me, Brooke, it would be on Monday. Excuse me. So yeah, with CL, right, maybe just the issue here is the move has happened overnight, right? And that's not a crazy thing to say considering it moved, 13% or something along those lines. So I just trying to think. Like I probably the highest probability move, right, is now a day of consolidation here. But it would be, the volume is already bigger than what we saw there yesterday, so I can't have a bearish bias. Maybe we could test back up towards that 78 handle. So we're going to call this overnight news special situation. And then, yeah, we're looking for basically a dip buy or like a green to red reversal. Sorry, red to green reversal right off of the opening range. And it has to be like 75 to 78, kind of what we're targeting here. And like I want to be, or my desire to trade CL is like with gritted teeth, right? It would be the name I'd probably be least interested in trading here today. Okay, Apple gapping up somehow. Green candle decreasing volume, gap up. Microsoft big gap down, 2 out of 3 with volume. Annoying that Microsoft and Apple are basically opposites of each other at the moment. Tesla 2 out of 3 to the downside without volume, same thing. Amazon big gap down. This is setting up as a mean reversion day. Nvidia higher high, lower low. That's kind of confusing. And we'll call this again. So 1 for 3 here to the upside. AMD 3 for 3 here to the downside. Big gap down as well. Meta. Netflix. So that is a rejection-ish looking candle. We'll call that a 2 out of 3 here to the downside without volume. Google, big gap down. Okay. And then I would say that this is probably the most surprising contribution, right, of everything we've looked at here so far this morning, right? VIX hanging out just above 20. I don't know, that seems maybe a little bit disproportionate. You would think, personally, I would think that it would be a little bit higher than that. So yeah, like I think that's going to also be a pretty good ingredient for us, right? If we're seeing VIX get back under 20, right? We see it kind of do its gap fill attempt back towards that 18 handle. Maybe that gives us an opportunity for the upside case, right, on the indexes. If we see it maybe accelerate into 25 and the selling pressure is kind of like relentless, then I think that's going to give us a little bit of a stronger indication over how strong the volume actually is, or if the volume is trustworthy, right? I think that's really going to be the important element to focus on here today. Now, my bias here today is expecting that it's going to be kind of a choppy and bouncy and kind of like a skid plate day. So I want to be really focused, right, on the quality of the price action. We did a good job of that there yesterday. I want to make sure I'm basically focusing on that again here today. So it's got to be absolutely perfect. I'm not really interested in any compromises here today. And if I get a day on hands or a day where conditions just don't look great, I'll be happy to call it early and kind of get that Friday started a little bit earlier. So, any questions here, team? How's everyone feeling this morning? Good, good to hear. Nice. The kind of like plan makes sense this morning. Any issues there? All right, well, I'm going to take that as a yes then as well. So I'm going to go make myself a quick cup of coffee, spend a few minutes here kind of visualizing a successful trading day, and then jump back on in a few minutes here, and we'll do a quick little rundown before the session starts. All right, I'm back. So, yeah, right. Expecting a little bit of chaos here today, right? Obviously, quite a lot of overnight news. Pretty volatile overnight reaction, right, to that. Warranted, obviously. And then it's just kind of coming up at a weird time, right? It's um start of the futures roll, right? We're starting to get that all kind of starting to sync up here a little bit. And we need to be picky, I think is probably the right term, right? With the volume and the price action that we're willing to basically dedicate any mental capital towards here today. Um, we're opening up in the implied of our overnight ranges. We've had big moves here happen, and we're setting up for the futures roll. Everything, or let's say each one of those things individually would probably tell me that it's going to be a choppy and bouncy day. Maybe it's one of those like three wrongs made or make a right type things, where now all of those things kind of sync up, gives us the opportunity for a trend day or for like all the ducks to kind of get lined up in a row. Um, but my base assumption is that it's going to be very challenging until I get a proven otherwise. And I don't want to like front run that too aggressively or to jump into anything too aggressively or to like overextend myself here, right? With the price action. Yesterday was a strong day. It's been a good P&L week here so far. So let's see if we can continue right building off of that momentum and then can go from there. When you're saying kick right out of the hole, does that mean to the upside or to the downside, Jay? I mean, certainly would think that it could find a little bit of support, but crude is going to be my least interesting name to trade here today because it's already had just like the craziest of moves, right? It's had like 13% of moves to the upside and like 14-15% worth of total range here on the day. So that might just mean that it's like a little bit like if we're going to argue that the move has already happened overnight, CL is like the most extreme variant of that argument. Um, so we'll see, right? Obviously, if this gives us a clean price action for sure. Um, but yeah, it's probably the one I would want to trust the least based on the information I have right now. Yeah, like a dip buy scenario would probably be the most interesting, like a red to green reversal. So we see like early week sellers try to reclaim control, they fail, and then we get a breakout above that high. That would create an opportunity where we could absolutely look for that breakout towards pre-market high or the overnight high. But yeah, I want to be a little bit patient, right? For us to quote unquote establish trending price action here today, we need to get up and over 48 or under 93, sorry, 33, right? And then on NQ, right, we got to get over 34 or under 61. So the base trade, right, that we're looking at here today is a range bound trade, right? We're looking for breakouts to levels inside our current pre-market zones. And it's a big range, right? That's why we're willing to do it. But we want to make sure that those zones are respected or that that momentum is respected. And then hopefully, right, we can have ourselves a little bit of joy. So we got what, 15 seconds here till market open. One of those rare opportunities. I actually timed it up pretty well here today. So let's see how the morning shapes up, right? Let's see where that enthusiasm comes together. And let's see if the market's just like in a mood to fuck with us or if it actually wants to be a money making market here today. So opens are going to be important. We should expect to see a tremendous amount of volume. That would be my base expectation. So let's see how it behaves. Kind of feels like a little bit of a letdown so far. I know it's only 50 seconds in. Well, I kind of thought that it was going to be more violent of an open. What's our biggest range of the week here on the 3 min? 35, 41, 58. So our biggest range of the week. Volume is getting there, but still got some work to do. Is that the was it commodity channel index or something like that? Look, my belief with indicators is that they're all the same, right? Or what I mean by that, right, is that your indicator, every one of them gives you like a setup trigger. So they'll be, I've not used CCI, so I can't like comment about its specifics too much. But all of them give you a setup trigger, right? There's some sort of reason to start to be interested. So maybe it's like extreme readings. It might be a cross. It might be whatever, right? And that gives you a setup trigger. None of those are going to work 100% of the time, as is the reality in every single form of trading. So every technique, right, has its flaws. If you use it as a setup trigger, you wait for candlestick and volume confirmation, and then you apply a stop loss logic and a risk reward mechanism to your trading. It can for sure turn into a successful and profitable trading strategy. Um, that would be my analysis in general, right? Kind of the way that I kind of was taught about indicators, or like um, how I saw institutions view them kind of put me off of using them. When you look at them, most indicators are a study of price and volume. So they're someone's interpretation of what price and volume is doing, and they are reacting to those elements. So I would rather study price and volume as a primary source instead of studying uh, someone's studying of price and volume, if that makes sense, right? So if I'm going to be wanting to learn how these indicators work or to be able to best maximize them, I should probably become a master at price action and build up a lot of confidence and familiarity with those techniques before looking at adding interpretations to it. The the thing that happens then, right, is you become a quote unquote master of price action. I feel kind of cringe saying that. Um, or at least you become more familiar, right, with what price action is doing. You get more confident with it, and then you kind of realize that you don't need indicators, or you don't need someone else's interpretation of what price and volume is doing. So that is kind of like my philosophical approach there. To each their own, obviously, but yeah, that's kind of my belief. Again, I think it can be a good tool for retail traders, and it can work as a good consistent setup trigger. But I think most people don't turn it into the setup confirmation execution method. They just see, oh, RSI is 83, let me go short. And then they try to like time it up with something kind of bullshit. And it tends to not work out very well. So you pair that as a setup trigger, you wait for candlestick and volume confirmation, you can turn anything into something successful. How do you guys feel about the open here so far? We're like 6 minutes in. It feels kind of shitty, I think, for lack of a better term. It's slower than expected. Those dings you might be hearing in the background are just the mean reversion strategy giving off alerts. Yeah, those are mean reversions. The volume's not even that like it's impressive, but it's not like that much more impressive. NQ a little bit more, but the ES volume doesn't really like stand out too much. Still being a little bit patient. Maybe we're starting to set up for that red to green reversal here on CL. That would 100% be the most interesting thing to trade. It feels like sneaky controlled here so far. Hey, nice work, Rusty. Good luck. 3177. Okay, yeah. So still quite a lot more on the June contract here still. Those are just CL and NQ mean reversion dings and ES 10-minute ones. No entries from me here yet. Yeah, I mean that's the same timing as the indexes, right? So NQ1, if you go on here, the contract switch happens on Monday after close. So it's the same timing, but you can just manually trade the other contract, right? So you could type in ESU instead of ESM, and you'd be able to trade the June. It's just that the forward contract, right, which is NQ1, will be by default, right, still June. Yeah, so we're just looking for a high vol breakout here of some context. Nothing particularly interesting here for me. I saw really funny tweet yesterday where it was like Israel saw the rising wedge on NQ and decided to bomb Iran. Like that's why they did it. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you, Brooke, for pretty much any country in the world beside Israel. Once Israel's involved in something, it also becomes very much an American thing, especially because the U.S. has been harping on about making sure Iran doesn't have nuclear capabilities. So they have it's like a shared issue or shared problem. You know, all things considered, guys, we did a really good job setting expectations here for what market conditions were going to be like, right? I think we nailed it so far, 13 minutes in. Definitely a positive. Oh. Those are just 15-minute dings. No entries here for me still yet. Nothing for me is particularly close or interesting at the moment. Uh, Ramen on you, Rusty. Although that might not be a very relevant term anymore. You can try to order ramen, and it's like $30. Yeah, CL, I'm still only interested in moves to the upside. It's a huge trend day, right? So far in general, and just a big breakout here. So I'm not really interested in going counter trend. It could sell off to $70 and still be bullish. So I need like I just don't want to front run basically that move. I don't want to sell into that like river of buyers. the the analogy, Nick, sometimes, right, is I basically don't want to be swimming upstream, right? I don't want to be a salmon. Like I want to be trading with the flow or with the momentum. To the downside, I can't convince myself that we have that momentum there lower. Yeah, if I can get flushes through the opening range low, could be interesting. So far, it's been decent sized range and then consolidation. Like we've not really had any indication of trending PA here yet on the indexes. Now, a lot of the moves that we've traded recently, right? It's a little bit more casual. So if you go into the indicator, I wonder if you can change the inputs. I'm sure there's a way that you can change the alignment, Patrick. I'm not quite sure. No, not quite that extreme on NQ. We need to see a breakout from inside the opening range. And then our targets, right, would be that 22,000, right, and then 21,400. So our first target here would be 22,013, and then which is approximately 22,000, right? And then 21,400 would be a secondary target. First target here would be 429. So we're looking for now a breakout above previous high a day or a breakdown here under the low of the opening range. So a break and hold of approximately 21.8 or a breakdown under 21,666. If I were to bring up the graphic, right, here's our opening range. We're looking for this setup, right, the breakout from inside to outside or from inside to outside on the downside. This is NQ1. You can see it in the top left-hand corner. You can see the NASDAQ 100 E-mini futures. And then also on my graphic here, it says NQ1. Yeah, potentially could be a little bit of a catalyst for us. Not expecting that to be very big news generally, but we'll see. Now, right, this is ES, Dan. You can see here again, right, 3 spots. So you have it here right on my plan. You have it here in this corner, and then you have it here in this top left-hand corner as well. Then this is crude oil, right? Again, here, here, here. And we're starting to see some volume. Excuse me. Nice, Kiki. Nice little win. Congratulations. See you on Monday. Enjoy. Yeah, it's again, it's felt very controlled, right? It's felt like a very controlled bit of moves here so far. Like it's kind of an oxymoron, but it's highly volatile but very slow. Should get increasing volume though on this 10 min. All right, there's our first crack here through the lows. Let's see. Q lagging a little bit. All right, 25 seconds. Let's see if it's got the juice. It would have to be on one of the longer time frames, right? For sure. All right, instant volatility on the data. Yeah, and that was just a little mean reversion ding, 30-minute time frames. Not touching them for now. It'd have to be something like that if we would trade it. Yeah, it's been a long time, Kiki. It's been a really long time. $15 of risk is a lot. 60-10. I mean, this 10-minute is definitely interesting. You're looking at like 3 micros here. Stop I would have at 60.10. Yeah, still gonna be micros today, John. Still gonna be micros today. I gotta do 4 more trading days of them. Nice work, Jalen. Congratulations. Fantastic end to the week. Well done. All right, so still watching here. Okay, so I'm watching here, guys. I'm watching. Might be able to get up to like 5 micros. And my reference price here is 6,000, right? So I'm kind of watching how we react to that 6,000 attempt. So that'll give me about 250 bucks worth of risk, right? Yeah, for sure, Reina. NASDAQ 100 is a variant of the futures contract that we trade. There might be some price differences just because maybe the ratios are different, but the same concepts will work. I didn't quite get my 6,000 touch. Again, kind of like weird volatility today. Very controlled. There's still a minute on this candle. Again, doesn't really change anything. We haven't invalidated yet. CL starting to find some support there. I would say probably the maybe the issue or like the mental block I have right now is why aren't ES and NQ kind of like on the same page? Again, probably like makes me feel like it's chop, not drop. All right, closed as an inside bar. It's starting to get a little bit more consistent. We get the aggressive technique here now. Oh, stop loss would be 97.50 and a reference price right of 89. Oh, setting it up here, right? Short 5997.50 as a stop loss. And looking for that 89.75 right as my entry reference price. And this for me would be a 5 contract play. Come on, one more point. Hey guys, so I'm in. Average price 59.90, 59.90 on the dot, short in micros. So far, so good, right? So far, so very good. Okay, come on. I don't want to see you pull back here. My gut is kind of telling me it's not behaving the way that I want. Don't like that 3 point pullback. I don't know what your stop loss price was, Dan. Impossible for me to comment if it was too tight or not. Dan, I mean this in the nicest way possible, man, but I'm not a like a mind reader, right? So I can only give you feedback on facts, not feelings. So if you want to get good feedback, you got to be able to track those details, man. Those are very, very important things to be aware of. You don't know what your stop loss is, or you don't know what price it is, or you can't remember what price it is, cannot be taking that trade. I think a little bit, but also not getting a the movement that I want here, right? So the worst case scenario is getting stopped out. The second worst case scenario is that the move is not going to move. So I probably feel a bit more likely that it's the second variant, not the first one. Now the problem with not the problem, but with the 10-minute time frame, right? You got to account for a slightly longer hold period, a little bit more time for the signals to develop, which is why I haven't made a panic decision yet. But yeah, I would like to see an 86 breakdown would be great. Like if I don't get stopped out, right, at the very least, I want to give my first entry candle the chance to close before doing any like snap analysis, unless like something crazy dramatic happens. Sounds good, Anthony. Have a great day, man. Now, those pullbacks don't feel super confidence inspiring. Yeah, so 90 seconds to go here. Come on, close under 90. Oh, speak it into existence. Come on. Yeah, yeah. Or if we're going to speak it into existence, may as well be ambitious with our targets. Well, I can make $12.50. Might be worth it. Okay, so let's see this candle close. I mean, it did give me 2 out of 3 here. An okay close. I don't want to see another pullback, though. We've survived 2. It doesn't want to get going here pretty soon. I'm just going to get out. There's an 86. Let's see if it can flush here. Come on. Need Trump to like tweet something about Elon Musk. Yeah, another little bounce off of 86, but comes right back to it. And it flushed through. Kind of seems like if it flushes, it's going to move nicely. Nice work, Jay. Congratulations. There it goes. Beautiful. So now let's see if this thing's got some juice to keep pushing. That was a $3 order hanging out at 86. That's big. All right, so next hurdle, right, is under 580. Watch, this is going to be it. If I get another 3-point drop again through 80, I'm going to look to close. Ooh, that was a big bounce. Don't like that. Okay, it's got to get back under 85, 75. Nice work, Norm. Trying to trust you here. Yes, trying to trust you. This feels kind of like deja vu to the last candle a little bit. Yeah, see, this I don't like. It's a terrible reaction. Doesn't want to go back under 90. Or back under. Kind of shaking my head here because this doesn't feel super healthy. So let's see if we can get it to keep going, but not behaving exactly how I would want. The pullbacks, right, are a bit larger than I would define as like healthy. So it makes, I think, a little bit of a challenging trade to trust. Again, I'm not trying to panic or make a panic decision here, but I'm trying to stack up as many clues as I can. So I think probably like next reasonable flush that we get, I'm going to look to get out of this trade. I really don't want to deal with another pullback to my entry price. Again, it's kind of an ask and you shall receive. Pulling back to my entry price here almost immediately after talking about not wanting that. Come on, come on. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I would hate to see 1,000. We should get increasing volume here on this candle. So if I can get a strong enough candle shape, I could still talk myself into holding this. But I need to see a strong candle close. Like this 83-ish, right, is my 1R area. So let's see if we can get a flush through 80. Uh, come on, come on. Get through 80. Give me a big flush through 80. Come on. Close. You're close. Yeah, here we go. Who's still in this with me here? There it goes, team. There it goes. Let's go, team. Let's go. All right, so now we want to see this thing close under 80, right? Close under 80. And then we should be able to keep riding this baby lower. We're just having a little mid-trade therapy session here. Nope, still in here, still in. Still in, still in, still in. So we're looking for a close under 80, right? Under 80 is what we want to see as a close. Come on, come on. Give me a big flush here. Hey, it's a good day here still, Nick. That's still a good day, man. Okay, so let's watch. I mean, in theory, this is my pyramid spot. That would bring my average price to like 85-ish. All right, I'm just gonna let this thing flush. I'm not pyramiding in. Come on, come on. Ooh. Maybe I will get my chance to pyramid. Okay, so I've pyramided in. So now my average price is 5985. And my stop loss, it's a hard stop loss, is at 583. So hard stop at 583, guys, at 583. Clear? So immediately gives me the worst reaction post pyramid. Immediately. All right. Got stopped out there, guys. Got stopped out. 193.75. All out 193.75. Well, all things considered, still a relatively decent trade. Kind of annoyed actually there at the end a little bit. But everyone finished green there, right? That's okay, Corinna. You didn't miss out on too much. What was your exit price, John? Nice work, Mark. Congratulations. Wrong. Okay. So, what could you do differently? Yeah, so pretty much the same as me there, Sean. Pretty much the same as me. But you're in at from 90-ish, right? For sure, John. But what's going to be like what are you going to do differently, right? So next time you feel the panic or the next time you feel the stress, what's going to be different? How much did you pyramid? How many contracts, Sean? How many contracts did you pyramid into? Yeah, fair. No worries, Rebecca. It's still a good result. I'm just filling in my trading journal here, team. Bear with me. It takes a little bit longer, but that's why we get out. That's why we protect our entry, Rebecca, right there. All right, so not a great return on risk here today. Yeah, right now, Ajay, I would only be willing to trade along on a breakout above high a day. I realistically won't place another trade here today. All right, team. Any questions here? Bro, for sure, Matt. It's just that I was risking there 187.50. I made like 193 bucks. So my return on risk is like a 1 to 1. So the thing that I probably could have done differently here is not pyramided into that position, right? Best case scenario, right? Close at that 78, 77 touch, and then I'm getting 2 to 1 return on risk, right? Something like that. So this is just a trade where I didn't necessarily create a lot of margin of error for myself. That's really what that means. The entry was fine. The exit was okay. If I had a better exit, it would have been just a much better trade. Nice work, Jay. Congratulations. Green every trade this week. That's awesome, man. I mean, looking back at it now, the entry on the what do you mean? It says question mark. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about, Jay. Probably the better entry would have been on that inside bar pullback. All right. Yeah, we'll be trading Monday, Jay. So we'll still be here. It's the futures roll on Monday. So it might just be a little bit wacky. We'll see. And I doubt it'll be weirder than whatever price action we got here today. Today was some weird shit. Any other questions here, team? Any other questions? I'm gonna call it early here. I have no interest in doing anything else. Sounds good, Raina. Enjoy. You too, Corinna. Enjoy your weekend. Good luck with game 5. Yeah, well, you got to give me something specific to talk about here, Jay. Just say a brief dissertation that's a little bit of an oxymoron. Like, I'm happy to answer your question, but what about scalping? I need something to work off of, right? I need to know what you're asking about. It's too general. Yeah, those are volume candles, Brooke. So if you go here, you can change your different candle types. I use volume candles. All right. Anything else, your team? Nice work, Herschel. Let's go. Not a monster day here, but hey, really good end to the week, team, right? Process wise, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think very, very solid days. Tuesday, a bit of a fuck you to process, but really good little bounce back here. Yeah. Oh, the streak continues. That puts us now on, what is that? 12 green days in a row, something like that. So long may it continue here. Keep focusing right on the quality of our process. No dumb bullshit mistakes, right? Control the variables we can control. And I mean, look, I think it is significantly easier for us to trade and to make money when we're calm and we're cool and we're collected. Um, and yeah, I feel much better about my trading here. So no complaints. Good day here today. Pretty happy with how it went, and yeah, we can definitely keep building off of this. So all things considered, really happy with my day, and let's keep after it, guys. 2 out of 5 done. You got some more in us, and then I'll upload that Loom video about this trade here at some point, maybe this weekend. We'll see if I get to it. But I'll upload the journal here right now, so everyone has the opportunity for it. Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, because you're hearing my voice is a little bit weak here today. I was out biking and it was a bit smoky, but we'll be all right. It's like I smoked 60 cigarettes yesterday. Family team, right? Same deal like always. If you have any questions, hit me up outside of market hours. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. But good trading here, especially later half of the week. We can keep building off of this. Don't think it's a coincidence that the more we start to focus on high quality trades, first trade of the day starts being green almost immediately, right? So looking to keep building off of that. Pretty happy with how I traded here last half. So we'll keep this up and we'll see how things kind of go from there. So have yourselves a great rest of the day, team, and I'll see you Monday. Peace.